Hello and welcome to ZigWheels. Today we are here in Coimbatore at the Curry Motor Speedway, and we are here with the Royal Enfield Continental GT-R 650. This is Royal Enfield's racing bike for their Conti GT Cup that is on from this year, and boy does this bike look exceptionally hot. I mean, to a large extent, it still stays the same as the stock Continental, but there are some slight differences which have been done to make it better for racing. The most obvious one, obviously, you can see here is this front fairing. And to get this front fairing in place, of course, there is no headlight, there are no indicators. Pretty much all that has been stripped off the bike. And of course, to make it more race worthy, the ergonomics have been made more aggressive by dropping the handlebars down. Now these are still clip-ons, but they are mounted much lower than standard, so that gives you a fairly aggressive riding posture when you're sitting on this bike. And to go with these handlebars, of course, you also have the foot pegs that have been now set more rearwards and more upwards for a very aggressive posture indeed. And to show you just how aggressive it is, I've got my colleague Arun, who's going to show you now by getting on the bike. Now Arun is 5'10" and of course a bit chunky, so as you can see, it is a bit of a tight fit on the motorcycle. And as you can see, it's a very aggressive posture indeed. So honestly, it needs someone to be fairly slim and I think fairly fit to ride this bike properly. But yeah, as you can see, it's a proper race bike in that sense. Now in terms of modifications for enhanced performance, the engine, well, that's not really changed at all. It's the same 650cc parallel twin engine that you get, but as you can see, it's running a different exhaust. And the benefit of running these exhausts, apart from the lovely sound they make, and if you want to listen to the sound, do stay tuned till the end of this video, but the main difference that you get is weight savings. Now the stock exhaust on the Conti GT along with the headers weighs about 25 kilos, like the two of them combined. These exhausts, both the exhausts with the headers together, weigh just 5.5 kilos. So that's almost 20 kilos of weight savings purely on the exhaust. And talking about total weight savings, of course, because of the exhaust and of course, skipping stuff like the tail light, headlight and all these things, it weighs 24 kilos less than the standard bike. It's still a fairly heavy bike, but of course, because it's lighter, it's going to feel much better on the track. And in terms of performance increase, well, you can hear one bike going away from us right now. But okay, in terms of performance increase, with the exhaust, you're getting about 5 to 6 horsepower more than standard, but that's of course without any modifications to the engine whatsoever. In terms of suspension, of course, this has been modified to make it better for track use. And as you can see, it's running the same fork, but they have changed the fork tops here, which makes it adjustable for preload. And of course, they're also running with more oil in the front fork to make it stiffer in terms of damping at the front. And at the rear, while the rear shocks remain the same dampers, they have changed the springs. Now these are non-progressive springs, so they just have a single sort of force to them, so they basically make the ride a lot stiffer. But since they're going to be raced only on the track, these should be just fine. Of course, not recommended for road use, obviously. And of course, speaking of track use, these are running special tires as well. These are JK racing tires, and I put JK in quotes there, and if you know what I mean, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. But these are fantastic tires, very grippy on the track, and they're also very well rounded, so it gives you plenty of grip even when you are leaned over quite a bit. So that more or less is the Conti GT-R 650 race bike. In terms of modifications, later on, Enfield said that they might do some more mods to the engine to make it even more powerful. So possibly they might do a retuned ECU, they might do a different airbox and air filter to give you a little more horsepower gains. Just talking about other slight modifications to the bike, this is running different gearing. They have changed the front sprocket to make it shorter geared compared to the stock bike. But that is particularly for this track, Curry, because it is a very tight and narrow racetrack with a lot of sharp corners where you need shorter gearing compared to some other tracks like the BIC. So that in a nutshell is the Conti GT-R 650 race bike used in Royal Enfield's Conti GT Cup, which they are doing along with JK Tyre. And as promised, we want to let you hear how the bike sounds. So Arun is going to rev the bike for you. So take a listen to this. So there you have it, extremely loud. I don't think the phone can capture just how loud it sounds in real life. And when you imagine an entire grid of these motorcycles, 20 of them starting up, and on the start line it's going to be utter chaos, a proper thunderstorm. So that's the Conti GT 650, the Conti GT-R 650, and we'll be having more coverage of this going forward. So do stay tuned, do stay subscribed. Also click on that little bell icon to get notified of when the next video drops. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching.